Questioning user asks, honestly depressed peeps of Reddit, how do you deal with it? Use it too because mental health isn't taught. A vast majority of people don't know how to cope. Many a night we spend sobbing into our pillows, begging a magical man in the sky to strike us down or hoping a robber will break in and do the honor of putting us down. So naturally people tend to find bad coping mechanisms: drugs, alcohol, video games, shopping, retail therapy, binge eating, sleeping as much as possible, etc. Anything to distract us. My personal bad habits were alcohol, weed, binge eating, oversleeping, escapism via video games and books, and self-harm. Sometimes to cope I would isolate myself and daydream about dying. What a relief it would be. Realistically though, how you want to be coping is by nurturing yourself. Drink more water, sleep 8 hours, eat healthy meals at least 3 times a day, socialize, exercise at least 30 minutes a day, and practice proper hygiene. But that shit is fucking hard, dude. I'm in therapy right now and I'm still struggling. Yesterday I slept for 15 hours, played video games from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m., drank only coffee and soda, talked to no one, didn't get any sunlight, didn't do any hygiene routine, not even just brushing my hair, and ate junk food and frozen shit. And just a week ago I cut myself after 6 months of being good. So yay, it's rough. And, user 3, I have been depressed for so long that it has integrated itself into my personality. It's part of who I am. I just keep on living my life. And, user 4, it's tough. Some days I don't even get out bed. I'm trying to break the cycle. Seeing a doctor and also a therapist, both on a weekly basis. The meds my doc put me on don't seem to be helping. I'm just hoping it'll go away someday. And, user 5, self-compassion. Look at Hawaii. Hawaii is beautiful, right? Well, in Hawaii they have monsoons where the rain is harsh, the waves are intense, and the wind is destructive. Does that mean Hawaii is broken? Number. Does that mean Hawaii sucks? Number. In fact, one could argue that Hawaii is so beautiful because it's nurtured by the occasional monsoon. It's okay to not be okay sometimes. Storms pass, there will be others, but try to look forward to the sunshine in between. And, user 6, try to go for a walk outside in the woods and talk to myself like I'm my own therapist. Sometimes it works well, and if not I at least got my lazy ass up and did something. And, user 7, I went through some intensive therapy. One bit of wisdom I'll share with you is, hobbies are coping mechanisms on steroids. Find a constructive hobby and use it to help pass the time. It starts to get easier when you have something to do. And, user 8, one day at a time. Every day I wake up and I find something that I kind of want to do and make sure I do it. Sometimes I have a hard time with that day, so I try to set a goal that I want to make it a season finally so I can finish something I enjoy, or the release of a new movie, anything in the future that I can make sure I get to see or do. Some days it is as simple as there is a show I want to watch and I fake it through the day until I can sit down and watch that show. Other days I lay in bed for about 20 hours only getting out of bed to eat and use the restroom. But as long as there is something in a few days or a few weeks I can make it until then, right? So I fill my day with little things that add up. I listen to stories from Reddit on YouTube because I have a hard time focusing long enough to make it through the threads some days. I play video games to escape reality. I have also recently started trying to write a book to keep me out of my own head and put me into the mind and life of someone else. I have managed to write 5 chapters, started a week ago. 5 chapters in 4 days, 3 days having a hard time getting myself to even look at the book. My dad calls me every day or two to check on me. He has been where I am. He even wrote out his note. A phone call from a friend stopped him and is the only reason he is still here. So he makes sure I get a call every day, even if the call is about what he bought at the store. He calls to talk someday. I don't know if he is calling for me or him, but I always answer, and if I miss the call I always call back. When things get really bad I call my friend that I have known for 30 years and tell him how I am feeling. He knows more about my depression than my wife. Sometimes I even watch the news just so I can feel something, usually anger at all the BS going on in politics, but as long as I can feel something, even if it is anger, it is something that takes my mind off of me for a minute. I will say sitting here writing this is really not helping me, but if it helps someone else then it was worth it. And, user 9, constant distractions, especially productive ones like hobbies or exercise. Personally I find baking, knitting, crochet, and other crafts to work best if you have time, because they are skills that demand at least some attention, and also produce an end result that you can begin to feel pride in. Music, audiobooks and podcasts are great for when you have other stuff you have to do. OBV, this doesn't work for everyone, or all the time, but it fills a lot of the day and prevents me from spiraling too badly. It's also resulted in new skills, and use a 10 my job as my anchor. It gives me purpose and structure. I just had 2 weeks vacation, and while I digested it better than last time, my sleep schedule is all kinds of FK'd up right now. Having smaller and larger victories at work makes for kind to have a purpose. Also sunlight and seeing people. I also bike to work, and that seems to be okay for my well-being too. Not having a reason to get up and losing all purpose is the big killer, I think, if you excuse my choice of words. And, user 11, I remind myself that I can die later, but I can only live right now. I always pick something to look forward to. It can be something small, a TV show, movie, video game, trip, or visit from a loved one. Family is everything. My brother killed himself, and I could never make my mother go through that again, no matter how depressed I am. And, user 12, hiking. Honestly, some days it's so hard to even get out of bed, so I hike myself one step at a time. Get out of bed, get in the shower, get dressed, leave the house. In the end, hiking always makes me feel at least 50% better by the time I'm done. It's not a miracle worker, but it helps. Also, I like true crime, so having a good podcast or a happy playlist while you hike helps a lot. Also food lol. And, user 13, the main one is prescription medication. It seems obvious, but it does help quite a bit. The change from when I wasn't taking it to roughly a week or 2 after I began taking it was incredible. Personally, I was prescribed fluoxetine. Another thing that helps is grounding methods, 4, 7, 8 breathing, counting backwards, etc., as they distract me from the spiral of thoughts. I've tried therapy, but unfortunately I'm not comfortable enough talking about it to people in real life, so despite having many sessions with several different therapists, it doesn't work for me. To the other Redditors here who have depression, I strongly advise you to talk to a doctor about medication if you haven't already, especially if you're not comfortable enough for therapy. A lot of people in the media demonize antidepressants and similar medications, but coming from someone who actually takes them, they help. If you need serotonin through supplements, that's okay, as long as you're getting the chemicals you need to be happy and healthy. And, user 14, I aim to eat 3 healthy meals, exercise, and get a healthy amount of sleep every day. Your brain can't make the happy chemical without the proper vitamins, so you need to create a healthy diet for yourself, 3 meals a day for the rest of your life. Your diet will give you the energy to exercise daily while keeping your gut microbiome in good condition. The bugs in your stomach have an effect on your nervous system, so you need to take care of them. Exercising every day will help your body to combat cortisol, the stress hormone related to inflammation. Inflammation is strongly tied to depressive symptoms. Daily exercise will give your body a reason to sleep at night. Try to wake up at the same time as everyone else during the morning hours. This will keep you on the same page as most of society. Stand up straight with your shoulders back. Sedentary depression will give you a certain posture that others can see. Society will judge you on this in subconscious and upfront ways. The nature of modern society may seem brutal, so to combat it you can aim to integrate your own shadow as a ways to defend yourself. Teach people to tread lightly around you. Society is built around lockers or your ability to communicate and reason. One of the easiest ways I've found to practice social skills is through dating apps. These apps can be used to make friends and aren't restricted to just dating and verism. Maybe these apps make you uncomfortable. Doing things that make you uncomfortable will build character. Not only that, but suffering also builds character. Everyone has to suffer, but being from a first world country allows you to choose the ways in which you suffer. A responsibility to your own suffering is something you will have to adopt if you want to improve. Aim to be the best you can possibly be. There's a Latin saying called memento mori, or remember death. I use this as a motivational tool. I think about the fact that I have to die, in a similar way to the saying what would Jesus think, but instead it's what would deathbed me think. It helps me discard the bullshit suffering that isn't worth my time. Your suffering may not be your fault, but it is your responsibility, so you need to take action. The way I see it is this is the task nature has given me, to save myself from needless suffering, and I don't plan on going down without a fight. This is becoming a well-loved text. You can probably tell I'm still working on my logos, so I'll end it here. You can always start by cleaning your room. And, thanks for watching. Please give a like if you enjoyed the video. Comment to tell me what you want to see more of, and hit subscribe if you want to see more. See you later.